So you've made your list of all the crazy things that happened to you between the 0 and 5 or wherever timeline you're at. And you want to start working with an event. The easiest way to do this is EFT's movie technique, because when you're by yourself and you haven't done this a lot, this is the way that you can get every single aspect out of the way. And it's a structured way for you to follow steps, because a lot of people don't know what to say. They don't know, what am I supposed to say when I hit all these? And a lot of people think that the way to do this is to start by being global. You know, I'm mad, I'm upset. I'm mad, I'm mad at my boss, or I'm mad at my husband, or whatever it is, and that's called being a little global. So what we want to do is be specific. Well, that's all fine and well to say, but how do you do that? And EFT's movie technique works really well with this. So what we do is, let's say, and I'll pick something of mine, which is my father said, what are all those ballet lessons for? When I dropped a pencil. I was 6 years old. And so what I'm going to do is think, okay, I'm going to make a little movie out of this. All right, that's why it's called the movie technique. And in that movie, now this could be something as little as dropping a pencil and, what are all those ballet lessons for? The other thing is, though, it really affected me deeply. And it sounds silly, but to me, and that's what's important, to you, you remembered it, and it was a bad thing. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make a movie. Now, my father put me down a lot. So I'm going to not tap on, my father put me down, I don't feel good enough. I'm not going to do that, because I'm going to work on each and every event in that personal piece procedure timeline I made. So let's say I'm at this 6-year-old event, which is, I dropped the pencil, and my father said that. So in that time, there's going to be a little spike of the strongest feeling. Now, where is that spike? Is it when I dropped the pencil? No, he didn't say anything. I dropped the pencil. Is it, now he was standing behind me. So was it, I didn't know he saw me, and I jumped when he opened his mouth? That was a bit of it, but that's not the biggest spike. The biggest spike is when I reached down and he said, what were all those ballet lessons for? And it was his tone of voice. So that was the spike, is when he said that, and it's actually what I felt after he said that. So the big spike is actually as soon as a moment right after. Now, why is this important? We'll get to that in a minute. But the big thing is that it's important to find out where that spike is, so that you can make the movie a little bit before to a little bit after. So there's a starting point and an ending point. So in my movie, I think it's going to be, I was writing, so it's just before I dropped the pencil. That's where my movie begins. And then my movie ends, let's see, we don't want to make it too long. It should be like about a 2-minute movie. So I guess he says that, and then it would be, and you have to think, and you might want to write it down, the end of my movie is when I pick the pencil up and I'm going through all those feelings. So now we have a movie that has a beginning and the end. So how do we do the movie technique? Well, the first thing we do, and this is very important, especially if it's a huge, terrible thing, you want to make a title of the movie. It's very important to make a title of the movie that's correct for you. I have one client who makes movies, and he spent so much time trying to figure out the title because it was so important, in the marketing of a movie, what you call a movie. No, it's not about what the audience is going to think. It's about what's important to you. So what is important to me? What would a title of this movie be that would remind me what it is? I think this is kind of difficult, because there's a lot of what we call aspects in this. There's a lot of things I felt, a lot of things that meant to me, but I think I'm just going to call it what all those ballet lessons for. I think that would encompass all these various feelings that I'm feeling about what he said. And it might change, but right now it's what are all those ballet lessons for. And now that you have a movie and a title for the movie, that's where we begin. So the first thing you do is you say, okay, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is this doesn't bother me, and 10 is it bothers me so much I'm going to run out of the room crying. So that's a 10. What are all these ballet lessons for? Now, not what the movie means to you, but just thinking about the title. How upset am I just thinking about the title? Well, since it wasn't terrible and I'm not really into it yet, just the thought of the movie is about a 6, which is pretty actually high. Thinking that it's not bothering me, and then I just said it was a 6. So I would write down that it's a 6. All right? And then we begin by just tapping on the title. So if you don't know where the points are, please look at that in other YouTube movies. And we're just going to go ahead and do this. Even though I have this What Are All the Ballet Lessons For movie, I'm okay. Even though I have What Are All the Ballet Lessons For movie, I'm okay. even if I'm not okay, I can say that. Even though I have this What Are All These Ballet Lessons movie, I'm not okay. If I'm really upset with the title of the movie, I don't even have to bother with the even though thing. If I'm already really upset, and six is pretty upset, but I'm not really focused on the ballet lessons movie. So I'm going to do this a little bit here just to say it, because I'm not real upset yet. Even though I have this movie that's called What Are All the Ballet Lessons For, I'm okay. And if I'm not okay, I want to be okay. And then you just tap around the points. What are all these ballet lessons for? What are all these ballet lessons for? And you can, make it up. I have this movie. It was a 6, and it is a 6, or it was a 6. There's nothing wrong. If you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. Just keep going. What are all these ballet lessons for? What were all those ballet lessons for? I have this movie. What were all those ballet lessons for? And sometimes I use the wrists. What were all those ballet lessons for? Okay. Actually, and now you're supposed to concentrate on what that feels like. I'm used to taking a deep breath after every round. It's just something that's good. But when I did that, I felt a loosening in my chest. And I feel a little sad. I'm feeling more in tune with that. And before I was feeling a little not good enough and a little bit mad and, why do I have to go here? And that's gone now. I'm feeling more, it's just a really sad thing that this happened to this little girl. So how is the title? You go back to that very first thing and say, what about the title? So the title was a 6. Now you see how I started getting sidetracked? That I felt this a little bit of relaxation in my chest, and I started thinking, well, I went off in that land. That's fine. So I'm going to write down, I had some sadness, and I used to be angry, and I'm feeling more poor little girl. Okay, so I have written that down so I can go back to it, because right now I want to find out what the number is for the title. So I'm going to say it. What are all those ballet lessons for? Okay, I'm not caring much about that title. Okay, I'm not caring. Now, if you still care about the title, even though I still feel, terrible about this title, or even though this title is, what are all the ballet lessons for, I'm very upset. There's still some of that left. I'm okay, or I want to be okay. And then you go around the points, and I still have some of this ballet, what are the ballet lessons for? And then you can even say what that is, because I'm still upset at the title, and I'm, whatever you want to say. You can just tell your feelings. There's something called talk and tap. Just go ahead and say what you feel about the title. Just stick to the title until the title's down to about a 1 or a 0. So right now my title's down to a 0. I don't even care about it. So I'm going to now, it's okay for me to actually run the movie. So the next step is to, after you put this down and it gets down to about a 1 or a 0, now you're going to run the movie. And the important thing about running the movie is stopping at every place where there's any kind of emotion. Now remember, in our little movie, it's only 2 minutes, it can't be a long one. So in our little movie, that there's a spike in the middle. But I'm not even in the middle yet. I'm going to start at the beginning of my movie, and I'm going to narrate it out loud. You can do this in your bedroom or in the bathroom so nobody hears you. You also can do it without saying it out loud. It seems to work better if you can say it out loud, because you're also using hearing when you say it out loud. So it does work. It's a stronger thing. It's not necessary though. Just thinking about it is okay. So we're going to start this movie, and my job is to concentrate on what I'm feeling and what comes up. Okay? Now, if something pops up like a whole different event, I'm going to write it down for later. All right? Because that's what the subconscious does. It'll pop up things. And sometimes, because I'm 6, what will pop up is something that happened when I was 3. And yes, people actually have memories when they were 3. Sometimes they're just pictures. Sometimes they're just something they remember hearing. Sometimes it's a smell. It may not be an entire movie, but yes, you can learn to access that, and your subconscious will help you. So I'll write down that thing that happened when I was 3, because right now I'm working on this event about, what are all the ballet lessons for. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to give you an example. And what you do is you go through, and when you get to any kind of spike at all, even if it's a little tiny spike, you're going to stop and tap on that spike until it's down to a 0. You're going to write down the number of what it is, if it's a 3 or 4 or 6 or 10, and then you're going to tap, 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 tap until it gets to be a 0. Then what you're going to do is start the movie over.